Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of 30 NSG. On today's episode, we're talking about Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League sees Rocksteady's trademark world building held back by trend chasing. Okay. It says it's been a rocky start for Rocksteady Studios and Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. After the initial leak, the game was officially announced by the studio in August of 2020, though the arrival of the wake of the sexual harassment accusations. Since then, the game was delayed and the studio co-founder left, and reports of the Battle Pass became a hot debate. Last year, we finally got a look at the game in action during Sony's PlayStation State of Play, but the reactions of somewhat negative. Once again, it was delayed. More recently, the alpha tech test took place in December, but spoilery footage swiftly leaked. It says, quote, "It's always disappointing when you have leaks, and I think it's unavoidable for this day and age of Suicide Squad," game director Alex said. Told me a preview event for the game. Now, the short answer is that's a bummer. But at the same time, we know as the game is really good, and we know that they're a very unique game. Even though you get leaks, you also hope that not going to affect the player's decision to try it out. As of the delay, Alex said that it was also a polish and tighten up the game's fix bugs and ensure that each of the four characters feels distinct in gameplay switching between them and should feel like new, fresh experience, but it also shouldn't feel like a completely different game. Okay? So, here's the thing. I want to make a comment real fast. I think a lot of people are making comparisons to Marvel's Avengers, which you can do, right? They're both comic book games. They're both live service games. I think one of the things that Marvel's did well is they had enough characters coming out in the very beginning to kind of keep your interest in, okay? They had, I think, 6 characters when the game came out. And then Marvel Future Revolution, which was a mobile game, also had, I think, 8 characters when it came out, okay? And this game only has 4 characters when it comes out. So hopefully they make up for more in-depth storytelling and rich character development with these 4 characters than Marvel's Future Revolution did with their 6 to 8 characters of superheroes that came out into the game, right? Even Gotham Knights had 4 characters, okay? And people wanted more characters. It wasn't enough characters. That's not a live service game. The reason I brought up the Marvel's Avengers and Marvel Future Revolution, they were both live service games, okay? So Rocksteady also aware of the reaction to the state of play would be. He says, "We knew it was going to be a controversial game because it's not Batman," said Alex. Now, this is another problem, right? IGN came out and said, well, this is not the game I was looking for this year for Christmas, and it's not Batman Arkham. And a lot of people are looking at that, and they did it for Gotham Knights when it came out. They said, this is stupid. I don't know why Montreal is coming out with this. This is not a Batman game we asked for. And then they judged that game based on the game it wasn't, right? This doesn't have the Batman style feel of the fighting. This is not Batman. I want to use Batman. And now they're doing it again with Suicide Squad. This is not the Batman game I asked. And again, this is not a Batman game. Can you blame Rocksteady for not doing a Batman game? Apparently, they want to get away from Batman. Okay? But at the same time, we know we have a really good game on our hands, and it's a very unique game, and it still feels to carry the Rocksteady values in terms of tightness and mechanics and bringing the wider DC world into the game. He says also, we recognize and realize that it didn't showcase as well that we wanted to. Did it affect the moral of the studio? Question mark. We thought it was unfortunate and we wanted to receive it better, but at the same time, we sort of going, yeah, let's show them. It's going to be great. So Suicide Squad certainly does carry a Rocksteady DNA. It's a continuation of Arkham's verse with the same character art style and overall moody tone. Except for here, the players can take the role of the Suicide Squad, which brings its own sense of humor and are up against the very same Batman and Arkham games, plus other members of the Justice League. This is an exploration or melee combat gameplay of before. Alex described the Suicide Squad as a genre-defining, but really it's an open-world 4-player co-op shooter. Now, this is another comparison I want to create too. Everyone wants to compare this to Marvel's Avengers. Marvel's Avengers was not an open-world game. This is an open-world game. So you can compare that this game was different than Marvel's Avengers, or say it's the same as Marvel's Avengers, but Marvel's Avengers was small little entry points that you would go in if it was indoors, outdoors, and it was a parameter there. This is a much larger space. You can go where you want when you're playing co-op. We heard some of the people that played the game and the access they got, and they said that you could just go around the map away from the rest of the group and have fun and do your own thing. Okay, so this is much different than comparing it a one-to-one to Marvel's Avengers. Okay, it says players choose between Harley Quinn, Deadshot, Boomerang, and King Shark and explore the city of Metropolis either online or with 3 others or single player and accompany bots. And yes, it's possible to have multiple versions of the characters in your squad, though they'll be substituted in the story cutscenes. And I've said this a couple months ago when people were asking, can you play King Shark, 4 King Sharks? Yes. Be 4 Harley Quinns, but when the cutscenes play, you're not going to see your Harley Quinn. you're going to see the Harley Quinn of whoever's host that you're in and the other characters of the Suicide Squad. Okay. Another thing about this is that it is, and I remember having this argument with people when Marvel's Avengers came out. I said it's a single-player game with co-op, and they're making sure the players can choose. Right? It says it's a either an online 3 others or a single-player accompanied bots. And yes, it's possible to have multiple versions. Right? They're telling you can play this game solo, or you can play it with your friends. You can play it with bots, or you can play it with your friends. Okay, it's not just an online game. They are going to bring offline mode as well, so that's a good thing. Okay, it also says, is it a live service game? It says, as leaked earlier this year, it was shown that the state of play of the game does include a battle pass, but paid items and cosmetics only. Rocksteady iterated that this is after the preview, regular season updates, and earnable by playing and no additional cost. Will include new story content, playable characters, mission gear, weapons, cosmetic items, in-game events, and did spot a story in the menu during hands-on time, but the details were blank. Presumably, these are for paid cosmetics only. Now, here's another thing. You guys know me. I don't pay for cosmetics. I don't like the cosmetic thing. But if they do something along the lines, obviously Fortnite wins because they bring in different IPs. This is just DC. So the only way you're going to pay money for cosmetic, okay, is if your character that you like, let's say you like a character that's not in the game yet, you're not going to play the game until that character comes in. And once that character comes in, you'll be like, oh man, I really like whoever that character is. And then they're like, oh cool, they have a really cool skin from a issue 405 back in 2005. This is really cool. I'm gonna pick it up. Okay. It includes new story content. That's free. Playable characters. That's free. And there's gonna be story driven. There's gonna be different missions. Part of that content, part of that new area that they're bringing in. Gears, weapons, cosmetic items, and in-game events, right? If they could do the in-game events, I'm not talking about sit around and hunker down on one part like an event. I'm talking about events. Halloween event, Christmas event, Valentine's event, whatever it is, to keep people coming back for that season. If they have something like that, then this is something different that, again, Marvel's Avengers didn't do. They didn't capitalize on it. They had the Red Room event, and they had stuff like that, but those were really like just cashed in. Those weren't really in development for a really long time. They kind of just tossed them in there to give content because they were done supporting the game. This could be in the same format, but we'll find out how many it sells and how long they go to support. They said that they already have year 1 done. So we know that game's coming out, there's going to be content for the game, and then there's going to be year 1 content, and then if it works out well, they'll probably make year 2, okay, and 3. Supposedly they say they have 3 years of development into this game. It says it's a live service game insofar as you need to be online to play it. Now, Alex told me, though, it's also confirmed that an offline story mode will be introduced in the future, so internet connection won't require. So it won't be at launch, but there will be, if you want to play the single-player game, it'll be offline. He says, quote, "We really wanted to build a community around it, and we want people to not only feel like it's part of Suicide Squad when you play it, but also feel like it's part of a larger DC universe. That's where we have a lot of social features that we're not quite ready to talk about." I mean, social features, I saw in a couple of videos that we saw an actual emote wheel. Marvel's Avengers didn't have an emote wheel, so obviously they're going to be selling some emotes to you. There's collaborative emotes I saw in some other people's videos where they're like high-fiving each other. Destiny does this type of stuff. Other games do this type of stuff. So they're going to be adding that as well. In recent earnings call, David Zaslav, CEO of Warner Brothers, the studio publisher, told investors of the company's plan to transform its biggest gaming franchise into always-on live service games. It certainly seems to be the case of a long-term support of Suicide Squads, though, as Alex declined to comment on Warner's plans specifically. Now, quote, "I can say this as the game is very much focused on making sure the players have the sense of freedom to play the way they want to." Now, that's a big, bold statement, because I've always said, respect the players' times. You make the game. Let me play the game how I want to play the game, right? If you have a Sims building game and I want to destroy everything in the game based on the parameters that you gave me, let me do that. Don't stop me from doing what I want to do, okay? So if I want to explore the city and do whatever I want, let me do that. Don't put parameters on me. So we'll see what that happens, okay? He also says we're not pre-scripting that you have to play it with your friends or you have to be in a group to play it. If you don't want to, you can play solo all the way through. And I like that, okay? I like that. That's a big selling point for me, personally. Indeed, the traversal is a major distinction between each of the characters and the key factor in the player's choice. During our hands-on preview, we tested all 4 characters in introducing a segment before settling on one. I choose Boomerang, who flings his namesake with the hold of a right bumper and teleports to the location on release. Throw in double jumps and dashes and possible scale skyscrapers, its ease, before unleashing on the melee attack and boomerang and blasting with a shotgun. His movement felt most intuitive to me. Other players may disagree. Deadshot uses a jetpack to hover over the battles and snipe from the distance, with simple enough to get through the gripes of also a little basic King Shark leaps Hulk-like over the great distances and uses heavy weapons. The fact that King Shark jumps better than Hulk did literally kills me inside. Okay. He says, what's more, of the 4 characters don't fit into the typical co-op play style like healer or tank, he says. He told me that it was by design and was balanced through extensive playtesting. At the start of it, it was really wanted to do is make sure that each character has its own unique traversal, he said. So they also feel unique to play. And I think it's pushed up as far as possible without becoming most likely a different game and when you switch characters. Now, individually, the characters do feel distinct, and there's also a little sense of teamwork between them. Sure, the characters and villains work by a team necessity, but playing as a group doesn't always feel like playing together. It's just 4 players attempting to dominate the battlefield individually. The open world also compares unfavorably to Spider-Man 2, of course, and the Rocksteady's take on fictional city. It's instantly recognizable, and for once, the Arkhamverse may give us a daylight, but Metropolis is a sprawling vertical populated maze of buildings without the clear routes of easily discernible of landmarks. It's also a backdrop of the battles that also had to navigate by a simplistic radar minimap for finding enemies and find friends alike, which also violent explosions, special effects, damage numbers, quest markers, and more on screen at once. It all feels too difficult to parse. Okay. By the time I found the enemies to shoot, your teammates probably got there first. Now, this is really hard for me to comment. I can't, personally. But most of the streamers that we watched said that you could turn off the UI. You can customize the UI how you want. So if you want all the stuff on the numbers and the things and all the bells and whistles and all the stuff going off, you can keep that on. You can take certain things off. It's customizable inside the menu system. And a lot of people didn't talk about that. And they just want to beat the dead horse of the UI is bad. Now, maybe the UI is bad. Maybe they can make it changes. Maybe it's too big or too small or whatever. But to be able to shut it off and turn it on, that's a huge thing, right? That if you don't want to look at it, you don't have to look at it. So it says, at its core, though, Suicide Squad does offer some enjoyable, scrappy combat. Each character and has access to certain weapon types and meaty selection of pistols and shotguns, machine guns, and more, and follow up by the jungling melee attack with the gunshot guarantees a critical hit. Added its hits and recharged shields, counter shots, comically overpowered grenades, and a Gears of War-esque reload, and a very satisfying Suicide Strike special, and the rhythm of combat quickly slots into place, and the shame traversal doesn't quite match, at least not without practice. Okay? And that's another thing. Everyone thinks they're just going to get in the game, they're going to be like pros at it right away, right? It's fun, but it also feels like you're going to be actually growing as you actually... The more you play, the better you'll get, supposedly. Unless you're certain people. Right? Narrative is also where Rocksteady excels. There's also clear love for the source material, but references never hinder creativity, and the studio is more willing to put their own spin on things than familiar faces. Whereas a wide cast of characters, both good and bad, plus the blockbuster-worthy story with brilliant performances and production, welcome diversity. And I hate when they put this stuff like that in. I was practically happy to see it all welcome all heroes. Pride sign prominently include all Justice League base, and even the tribute of Batman's voice actor Kevin Conroy. No doubt the DC fans will find plenty of Easter eggs. But even without the prior knowledge, it's easily to fall to certain with the prickly relationships and quip jabs at one another. Wonder Woman is here too, though Alex remains tight-lipped about whether a particular incarnation will relate in the forthcoming game in the Middle-earth Shadows of Morrowind team Monolith. What to say of the Wonder Woman in our game is Rocksteady's take on Wonder Woman, he said, and get you to see a lot of during the game and know a bit better. Now, this would be interesting because James Gunn talked about how all the characters will be in the movie, in the game, and the thing, they'll all be crossing over. And Monolith is making a Wonder Woman game, and they're saying that this is their take on Wonder Woman. I wonder, though, they might look different, and this is what I've been talking about for about a couple of years now, 2 years, 3 years. I talked about the MGU, the Marvel Gaming Universe, and then James Gunn came out, and I have a video talking about that he's probably doing the DC Gaming Universe. And they might take the voice actress that does this and make her the voice actress that does the next Wonder Woman game. And yes, they don't look the same, but if you hear the voice, then it does connect, and it's just their rendition of that character. But we'll see what happens, right? I think a lot of people are, I mean, each their own. If you like the Suicide Squad game for what it is, what you've seen, cool. If you don't like it, cool. But let's not judge a game, right? I play a lot of superhero games, right? I played Marvel's Avengers, I played Gotham Knights, I played Marvel Future Revolution, I've played the Spider-Man. The only game I haven't played up to present day right now is Spider-Man 2, okay? But a lot of people judge Gotham Knights because it wasn't a Batman game. A lot of people judged Gotham Knights because they were harshly comparing it to a game it was not. And now they're doing the exact same thing again for Suicide Squads, and it's even worse this time because Gotham Knights was not a live service game, but people thought it was a live service game. And they said it looked like a mobile game, and they talked crap about it before it even came out. They judged that game before it came out, not for what its merits were, but for what it wasn't, okay? And now the same people are doing it again. The same people that didn't like Gotham Knights because it wasn't a Batman game are now saying Suicide Squad is not the Batman game they were looking for. And this never said it was a Batman game, and I don't know why people keep comparing stuff like that. You either like the game or you don't like the game. Not every game's for everybody, okay? And to say that this game is bad just because a live service game, I wonder if these people that say that have never played the other live services game. If they've never touched Destiny, they've never touched Warframe, they've never touched Division 1 or 2 or any other live service game that's out there of a shooter, okay? Because if they did, then they're full of shit. And if they didn't play it, then by all means, keep talking trash because you're not the customer they're looking for. They don't care if you're playing the game because you didn't play any of the other looter shooters or you never played any other live service games. So your opinion on a game that you don't care about doesn't really matter. And the people that actually play the game and like the game are going to like it. And now the public opinion, does it make it or break it when it comes out? That seems to be existed, but everyone's judging this game on what it's not instead of what it is. These are just my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comment section down below. Please make sure you share, like, and subscribe. If you like what we do here, maybe you'll check out some of these other videos. Thanks for watching.